Hello everybody, welcome to Good Turn Daily. Hope you guys had a good week. I know that there's been a lot of good stuff going on, especially with the lives and stuff like that this week. So anyway, there have been a lot of projects that have been going on with turning a bowl or plate or something and then painting over the top of it and then doing some different styles. Like the water drops, and I saw Stuart Fernie do some tape, and that actually came out pretty good. I'll have to try that. But I also saw one that was kind of cool as well, about kind of doing a distress or kind of a rust look, and I thought, you know what, that'd be really kind of cool. So this week, this is what I'm doing. I'm just turning a nice bowl, and the title of the video is Third Time's a Charm. First couple times I did it, it didn't come out the way I wanted to. The project that we're doing now is painting and then using salt to paint over the salt and then get the salt away. And the first time I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll do a water droplet bowl because I haven't done one of those. But I eventually try the salt, and as you'll watch here, and maybe you guys will learn something and try the project on yourself. So I believe the wood that I'm using is alder. It's not really pretty, but it's okay. Thought I'd throw a sticker on just for fun. So a little sanding sealer on the end. Sand it up. Now the first time that I did this, I did the water droplets and I made the mistake of over painting. I put way too much paint on top of the water bubbles, and I let it dry overnight, and I came back in the morning and it was still wet, so I knew that it wasn't going to come out the way that I wanted it to. It still looked kind of cool, but the paint was wrinkled, and I also made the mistake of putting it in the oven as well, and it decided to wrinkle the paint, so it was a start all over again. I find using the eyedropper really helps for the size of droplets that you want. But I really like doing that. I like the effect of seeing the water droplets, and I think it's kind of cool. Especially with all of the different colors. So here's the next day, and if you look at it, yeah, it looks pretty cool, but it's all messed up with the paint. Like I said, it bubbled, and sorry about the piece of wood that's on the screen. I didn't catch that. So anyway, so I scrape it all off, start all over again. So we've been having a lot of wind in my area, and so I thought I'd paint in my wood shop. This is the second mistake that I did. When the paint is wet, you don't put the salt on. You have to wait until it dries and then come and put the salt on. But I took it outside, let it dry for a little while, And while I was waiting for that, I had a little piece of walnut, and I thought, what the heck, I'll just turn a little walnut bowl. That shouldn't take too long. I love turning walnut. I love the smell, I love the way it feels, I love the color, I love how shiny it comes out. Just one of my favorites. Earlier this morning I was watching Stacy on Stacy Makes, and she did a live session on Instagram, and she was doing her bowl, and later on when I'm finishing this I decide to do a live session on Instagram as well. Every once in a while it's kind of fun to do. And thank you Stacy and Nick for joining me. That was a lot of fun. Look at the chatoyance. It's so pretty. And that hasn't even been sanded yet. Now what I put on here is my own homemade concoction. It's mineral oil, beeswax, and crushed lava rock. And I think they call it rotten stone. I know that there's other polishes that are out there that have it, but I haven't found any rotten stone that's white. And so, but I always use it on my darker woods, and it makes it just come out beautiful. And then a little feed and wax on there as well, just to give it a nice little shine. And just remember that all this time I'm doing this, I'm waiting for the paint to dry on the other one. And here I am just fiddling with my phone. And I'm live on Instagram now. One of these days I'm going to have to take a day to completely clean out my shop. There's just so much stuff laying around. And I try to clean up the sawdust as much as possible as I go. But it's just a little dusty in there and unorganized. Here I am showing Stacy and Nick my shop. I guess they don't have a lot of room to work in their little shop, so I should be or at least feel pretty blessed with the room that I do have. Look at how deep and rich that is, especially with that feed and wax on there. Just so pretty. Alright, so there's my little walnut bowl. And so this came out a lot better. Oh no, wait a minute. This is the second time that I did it with the salt and on wet paint, and that was a big no-no. So I had to scrape it all off again. That's alright. You know, we just keep trying different things, and eventually we get to master what we need to, and then we move on to something else and master something else. There I am making my own sanding sealer. So this is how it came out the third time. Sorry I didn't show how I painted. I don't know why I didn't take my camera out there, but I have all different colors. I've got green, I've got yellow, purple, white, black, and I kind of mixed up the things because I really like the bubbles, but so I did the salt and I also did the spray, but it was a really fine spray, because when you put the salt on, you have to put water on top of it so the salt doesn't blow away when you use the spray paint. And you do have to wait for just a little bit so that you're not spraying on top of the salt when it's wet. But I did both sides of the little water droplets, and also put the salt on and sprayed over the salt, and then I just rubbed all of the salt off, and it gave you that textury kind of a pattern on there, and it really came out fantastic. That's some sanding paste that I made myself as well. Sure would like to try the axe though. Also, I was talking to Stacy and Nick, and they were saying that the Yorkshire grit is basically the same as the axe. I'm not sure about chemical compound, but my understanding it's about the same. I'd like to try some of that too. Maybe one day when I'm rich, or if I sell a couple bowls or whatever, then I'll buy some and try it out. I gotta quit giving my bowls away. So here I decide on the outside I'm gonna dye the outside instead of paint it. And what I'm using is RIT, and it's used for clothing. but I've used it for Christmas trees and it actually dyes wood very nicely. I tried putting it in a spray bottle and the pigments ended up not going through the little tube, so I ended up rubbing it on. Now the problem with the RIT is it's water-based, and so it did raise the grain a little bit, but it wasn't bad enough that I couldn't use some polish on there and knock the grain back down. And it still kept the purple on there, which is great. So I really like this clear glaze. It's a triple coat, so it puts a lot on whatever project you're doing, but a little goes a long way. So if you do multiple coats, that works out better. Don't just put a whole bunch on at once. But here it is. That's how it turned out. Hope you liked it. Hope you guys can try it, and remember, you guys do a good turn daily, take care of one another, and come back and see me.